Now that we've successfully rendered our book to the screen, let's make sure that all of the book's information is on the screen and we have the right buttons in place for adding this to our list. So we'll come down here and just make a few assertions. We'll expect screen get by text book.title to be in the document. There we go. Let's just save that one, make sure that one's going to pass for us. It does. And let's take a look at the screen books. There we go. And let's remove the title and make sure that we're actually testing what we think we are and that this test is going to fail when we want it to. And yes, indeed it does. We get an error right here saying, hey, yo, I cannot find this particular element. So we are testing what we think we are. Let's put that back and our test continues to pass. So we're in a good spot. Now let's just make sure we've got all of the things on the page that we should. So we have the book title, also the author, and the publisher should be on there, and the synopsis. And we'll make sure all of those are on the page. Now you might be wondering to yourself, now hold on a second, Kent. We do verify that the text is on the page, but we don't verify that it's in the right spot. Like what if the title is in the author's position? Or there are all kinds of things that we could verify in addition to what we're already verifying here. And you're right, we actually could improve the book title test here by doing screen get by role, blah. Let's just find all the roles that are available for us. So here, right there, we have a bunch of generics. We don't get much use out of those. We have some buttons. We'll want to use that one here in a little bit. Some navigation, list items, and some links. We've got our main, an image. That would actually probably be a good one to check for as well. So while we're here, let's go ahead and add expect screen get by role, image, and the name should match book cover. And we'll want that one to have attribute source book dot cover image URL. And let's make sure that one's passing. So that'll take care of the image, but let's see what else we've got here. Heading, there we go. The heading is the title of the book. So we could improve this one as well to say get by role, heading, name is a book title to be in the document. So now we're getting a little bit more confidence on all of that, but we're still not totally confident that everything that we're rendering is correct. Like we don't know what the styles look like. We don't know any of that stuff. And this is where I say this is just the matter of trade-offs. So if the way that things look is really important to you and you want to just check off on every single visual change, then that's actually great. And you'll want to use a tool like Percy.io or Applitools, which are two tools that are totally dedicated to this type of visual regression testing and integrate just fine with this kind of a test setup. So if that's really important to you, go ahead and look that up. This gives us quite a bit of confidence though, so I'm going to stick with this. Now to take things a step further, let's also verify that this add to list button shows up. So we'll expect screen get by role button, and our name is add to list to be in the document. And that actually is doing a little bit more for us than the other ones because it's saying that yes, we do have the book, but we also know that we do not have a list item for this book. So it's verifying that we're showing the right button on the screen based on the state of our book. Now it's not enough just to say that we're showing the right things. We also want to verify that we're not showing the wrong things. For example, I don't want to have the remove from list button. So I'm going to copy and paste this and we'll change it to say query by role. And we want this to not be in the document. And just as a quick refresher, if I use get by role, then this is actually going to throw an error, which is why we want to do a query by role instead, because that will just return null. And we pass that into this assertion and it will pass for us. So there we go, still passing. Let's verify everything else. And I'm going to get rid of the screen debug here because it's a little bit noisy. So we've got a couple other buttons we want to make sure are not in here. So like mark as read and also mark as unread. And then we also have the notes, the rating, and the start date, which should not be showing up for a book without a list item either. So we're going to look for the notes, and this isn't a button, this is going to be a text area. And to make sure that the star ratings aren't on there, then we'll look for radio buttons. where the name includes star, and make sure that those aren't in the document. And then we don't want to have anything that has the start date. So we'll expect screen query by label text start date, and not to be in the document. And let's make sure that all of that is passing. And sweet. So we verified that not only are all the right things showing up, but also none of the wrong things are showing up either. So let's review this whole thing really quick. The first thing that we did was we rendered our entire application. We noticed that there was a problem with our provider not being rendered, so we added a wrapper option with the app providers. And when we did that, we noticed that we are just rendering the loading screen, so we added wait for element to be removed, so that we waited until that loading spinner disappeared. And then we noticed we started making some network requests, so we mocked fetch to handle those network requests. We wanted to make sure we landed on the book page, and so we built a book and routed ourselves to that book's page. We also made sure that we are tricking our auth provider into thinking we're actually logged in. And again, this will differ based on the auth provider that you use. Some of them you might actually have to mock the entire module itself. And then once we got all of that setup finished, we're able to make some assertions on what should appear on the screen as well as what should not. And this gives us a huge amount of confidence in not only the screen page itself, but also all of the providers and everything else that's doing work to get our users to that screen page. So yes, it may be quite a bit of work to get to this point, but it is 100% worth it for all of the confidence that we get from this test.